is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Oh my gosh. It is the day. When we started this pod, it was really all
about
in
today.
Excitement and prepreration for today.
It's all been a build up to today, not Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving.
Right.
That's what we were here for.
That's right.
The day that we finally get to see and talk about the Saved by the Bell reboot.
We truly do go back to Bayside.
We get to go back to Bayside for reals this time.
If this is your first time with us, maybe you haven't been going back through the Saved by the Bell
That's a shame.
archives.
Shame on you.
Shame.
Yeah.
My name is Bran.
I'm Dan.
And we love the Bell.
We love Saved by the Bell.
We wanted to rewatch it.
Grew up on Saved by the Bell.
When we found out about this reboot, we were like, we got to rewatch it.
Yes.
We didn't really time it well. We're in the middle of season 2, but it doesn't matter. When the reboot happens, you stop everything.
You let us worry about it. I feel like the timing is going to be better than I think it's going to be, because after we watch this reboot, we're going to get a lot more jokes, I think, in the seasons of the old show that they reference here, I think is going to help us.
I'm excited. So today is the reboot day. The pilot aired on Peacock.
That's right.
And we watched it. We're very excited to break it down. And to help us do it, we thought we would bring on a good friend of ours, host of the My Year with Dolly podcast, which I think is what everyone knows him from.
That's right.
Also maybe writer for Esquire. And even like smaller amount of people who also like Saved by the Bell know you as the guy who just interviewed Elizabeth Berkley. I think it goes, everyone knows you from Dolly. Some people know you from Esquire. And a very small amount of people know you from that interview. His name's Justin Kirkland. Justin, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much. Actually, an even smaller number of people know me for my cosplay as Jesse Spano. Yeah. So this is extra special for me.
Yeah.
Where are those pictures? You got the pics? You've been posting those?
Those each of them $5, and I'll send them.
Is it your OnlyFans situation?
Yes.
Yeah.
just Jesse Spano.
It's just cosplay, and it's not inappropriate at all.
Yeah.
But you're just doing it. Justin, tell everybody about your history with Saved by the Bell. Why you're excited about this reboot and all that. Anything related to Saved by the Bell fandom in your life.
So, again, to describe myself, I would say I'm a Jesse Spano, Lisa Turtle Rising.
Yeah.
But I watched Saved by the Bell. I was just a couple years past the original showing of it. So I was a TBS at 7 a.m. in the morning Saved by the Bell kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Watched, I feel like the entire series every day before school over the course of like 5 or 6 years. And I've just always been a really giant fan. Got the opportunity to chat with Elizabeth Berkley about the reboot recently, which I know that we'll probably swing back to that at some point. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
So you didn't get you're almost Bran's age. Exactly. You didn't get the privilege of watching it Saturday mornings, week to week then. Is what you're saying?
No, but I held the same animosity for Leah Remini's character as everybody else did. So we're all family.
Yes,
we're not even there yet, but
no,
boy.
We're not. Yeah, we got to talk. There's Tori as well.
There's Tori, not interested.
Nope. Pass.
Yeah. We're in the sweet spots of
we are in the sweet spot
right now.
Yeah, we really are. Season 2 is wheelhouse.
I think the next episode when we get to it is Miss Bayside, which is not the sweet spot.
Yeah,
it's an unfortunate part of Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. We've already. I will say this.
It was a convenient pause because we're all kind of treading that episode.
We're 23 episodes in, and I think men have dressed in drag no less than 3 times in 23 episodes. So it's going well.
Hey, you remember that time that a grown men created a TV show and said, hey, let's get that 15-year-old girl out there in a bikini and we can all just cheer? That's what's going to happen next episode. We're pausing, guys. We're going to reboot. Yeah. We're going to reboot.
Going to the reboot.
There's nothing we can do about it.
Yes.
So excited. Reboots. What was when you heard about the reboot, Justin, were you just, did you feel like it was time for the reboot? In the world of all these reboots, did you think it was lend itself well to a reboot?
So I guess not to spoil what we're going to end up talking about, but I was pleasantly surprised because I was not excited about the reboot, because I think that too many things get rebooted when it was great to begin with. So I'm happy that we didn't land ourselves right back in that same world of Bayside where you have like 45-year-olds playing 17-year-olds. So I think it's good. I think it's good after I knew what was coming and that it was going to be a whole new story. I think it's time to bring back Bayside.
I love it. You know what? I agree with you, Justin. When I first heard it, I was like, I don't know. When the first trailer came out, I was even more like, I don't know. The final trailer they posted a few weeks ago was the first time that I felt excitement.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this feels like it could be something different enough to make it feel special.
Also, and I think, I can't stress this strongly enough, this show they already tried to reboot. It was called Saved by the Bell, the New Class, and it was terrible. Like,
it was bad.
It was really, really bad. Like, it was so unfortunately bad that, like, you can't help when you hear the announcement to be like, why are you doing this? But
it's all like, they're bringing back the old cast, though. They're old. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was the right time. The New Class was just like...
Yeah, it's Belding and Screech and a bunch of newbies.
Why would we care about that?
It was like if Urkel didn't have any restraints and there was a Family Matters reboot. It was just Urkel. Just Urkel Matters.
Urkel Uncaged.
Justin, can you tell me a reboot that you think has been successful and worth your time and one that you would like to see since you're a big TV guy?
That's a great question. What has been one? Oh, I don't know if it's quite a reboot, but I've really enjoyed the new Sabrina.
Okay.
On Netflix, kind of the reimagining of that, because I think it's all about striking the right tone, and in like this like 2018 to 2020, they really kind of went for this like kind of dark, sexy Riverdale-ish take on Sabrina. Right. Granted, there's this one musical episode that whatever, but I think overall it was a
You're talking about Riverdale or you're talking about Sabrina?
Both.
Yes. Both things. Every musical Riverdale episode, I'm like, how are we doing this again? How are we doing this again, Riverdale? We don't need to get into it today.
Save it for the River Pod.
The River Pod.
I think if I could get one thing rebooted, I would go for The Nanny.
Wow.
Where's Fran Drescher? Where's she at?
I can't believe that was your answer. One, because no, never, ever, ever, ever. And two, because you stan Reba. Like, this is your chance.
How did you not do Reba?
Justin, you lost so much East Tennessee cred just now. Like, it's all
Thank you so much. It's time for me to go. Bye-bye. No, bring back Reba. I mean, we talked about this, a couple days ago?
Days ago, yeah.
You literally said it.
That's right.
Reba should come back.
Do you know what's bad? You asked me the question, and immediately my mind was like, Grey's Anatomy. It's not even off the air. It's not off the air.
It's been on 100 years. It's time for a reboot.
It's just constantly being rebooted. Yeah,
that's right.
I watching this pilot, which we'll get to in a second, but it made me wish that the Boy Meets World reboot was not the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Like, I already wish that, but I wish it even more now that I've seen this.
There was no tongue in cheek in the Girl Meets World. This is tongue firmly in cheek in this show. So there's a big difference there.
Let's dive into it, shall we?
Yeah.
It's time for our first segment.
Hey, what is going on here?
Hey, what is going on here?
Going on here?
We're talking about Saved by the Bell Reboot, the pilot episode, which originally premiered on Peacock on November 25th. And this is what happened. There's a lot.
Yeah,
so,
and you didn't write anything down because we were mesmerized by the screen.
I wrote some stuff down. But it was so hard because, with Saved by the Bell, I'm able to write, like, I've already seen the episode. This was like, I couldn't take my eyes off the screen.
Yeah.
So it was.
And it's 32 minutes long.
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough to take my eyes off the screen, but it does start off with Governor Zach. And I think we're all, better for that.
We're not upset about that. And it's a commercial for Governor Zach Morris.
Yeah. And I think it is clear that Governor Zach is like a Trump type,
iteration
right?
of Trump, correct? Would you agree with that, Justin?
Sure. Yeah.
100%. And he's basically, I think, is he running for re-election, or he's just, I don't know if he's down in the polls or what, but he's trying to get everybody back on board.
Yeah. There's some reason he has a commercial.
Yeah. And his son, Mac, goes to Bayside.
That's right.
He seems to be on board with Bayside. Likes the public schools.
That's right.
But he does shut down all of the more lower income schools because of, money. Budget cuts.
It's like a $10 billion cut or something. And like all of these public schools just shut down like all of a sudden. And people are up in arms about that, as you would. Your kid doesn't have a place to go to school. And his suggestion, as given to him by the press, is why don't they all go to schools with higher property tax values, which we're already diving into the politics here early on in the reboot, which is great.
Yep. So we meet this girl named Daisy. Daisy goes to, what was the name of the high school? Douglas High School.
Yep.
And she's trying to become president of the class at Douglas.
Yeah.
And as she's giving her speech, they shut the school down. And so she's on her way.
And whom I thought for sure would be Tim Meadows, but it wasn't Tim Meadows coming in to shut the school down. It was like, how is this not Tim Meadows coming in to shut this? It needs to be Tim Meadows, but it's not Tim Meadows. Did anybody else get Tim Meadows vibes, or was that just me?
I felt that. I felt it.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll go with it.
Okay, thanks.
I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah.
Doing that whole bit for sure. I think it was necessary. So that whole school is basically being split up. Daisy is heading off to Bayside.
Bayside with her friend.
With her friend.
Yeah.
And her friend is named?
The name.
Carol.
Yes, Carol.
Joanne.
Carol. So Daisy and Carol are walking into Bayside for the first time. They see all these nice cars.
That's right.
The bus is dropping them off miles away.
That's right.
Because of all the nice cars. And all the parents of Bayside are very worried because of all of these kids from lower income areas coming into their very nice preppy school. And so they come up, Jesse.
Yes.
Guidance counselor Jesse comes up with a plan, the buddy band, but
Basically
buddy
the
system.
buddy bands.
The buddy system.
Bayside buddies. That's right.
Where a Bayside student will be teamed up with a student from one of the other schools to get them into the Bayside culture.
That's right.
We also see Coach Slater.
That's right. He's the PE coach, football coach extraordinaire, Slater.
Yes. And Slater is excited about this because his football team's bad.
Yeah.
And he thinks that all these kids coming in is going to help his football program.
Yeah, knows it. He knows that the kids from the rough neighborhoods are going to help him win football games.
Which there's a lot to unpack there, but here we are.
Yes.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and well, not to mention that Jesse and AC are both on staff, but we have a new principal that's not Belding, but he may as well be. It's John Michael Higgins playing Trotman? Something like that. He's the principal, and he's just as disheveled and clueless as Belding, but he's probably just more manic, I would say. Than
Yeah. So Daisy and Carol, poor Carol.
By the way, I accidentally mispronounced Carol. It's Aisha.
Aisha.
You know what? I wanted to say Aisha, but I didn't
want to say Aisha. That's fair.
That's fair, right?
More than fair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we went with Carol. So it's Daisy and Aisha. They're walking into the school, and Aisha is going to be teamed up with her buddy, which is Jesse's son,
Jamie
Spano, who's ripped. He's a hunk.
Yep. The hottest man that Aisha's ever seen.
Yes, is what. Right. Yeah. So they're going to be teamed up.
Yeah.
And then Daisy gets teamed up with Mac Morris. And Mac, I don't know. How would you compare Mac to Zach?
I mean, I think quite literally just there's the way that I think it's like sponges in the ocean reproduce by just like popping off a version of themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's the situation here.
I think Mac is Zach, but his hijinks are played for the crimes that they are. So like that's the tongue-in-cheek part of this is like Zach, it's harmless fun that he's using his friend's new ability from getting struck by lightning to help him pass a test instead of getting him help. Whereas when Mac says he's got a new scheme or something, it always sounds very dastardly and terrible. Like he's played as more of a villain than Zach is, but he's the same guy.
Yeah. He's more of a villain. And I would also say he's more aloof than Zach was. Like more he's dumber, it seems like, than Zach, which is impressive.
Well, I think what they're doing is that since the lead is from Douglas and is poor and has just come from a different background, Zach in Saved by the Bell is very much like knowing. Like he winks at the camera, he knows. And they make Mac play like Mac thinks he knows, but he actually knows nothing, right?
Yeah,
like it's almost like a little bit of Ron Burgundy in him, just a little bit of just like, I think I've got it all figured out, but I'm just completely clueless as to what's actually happening.
But Daisy, who is the Zach of this reboot,
That's right.
isn't a Zach type character, but has the same type of spunk and
abilities to time out the screen and the whole bit. She does. And then Lexi is the one we're missing, who's like the new Slater. She basically comes in and like is kind of bully Zach, or they have a little bit of a competition back and forth, and calls him Preppy or Mac. Excuse me. Yeah. That's the other character.
So that's all happening. Okay,
All
so they
happening.
walk in.
Yeah.
Daisy, Mac, they are now buddies, buddy band situation, and basically she just can't get over everything that Bayside has to offer kids that are like the kids that go to Bayside. So as someone who's coming to this school who doesn't have an iPad, doesn't have a car,
Doesn't have a cell phone.
smartphone, this is tough because, as Mac points out, Bayside is now 99% paperless.
That's right. That's right.
Which is
99%.
great for them. But she can't download the books and she can't do all the things. And so she decides, I'm going to run for class president here.
That's right.
Which happens to be tomorrow. The election.
Election's tomorrow.
Yeah. And the speeches, I guess. I don't know.
The speeches and the signs have to be up by then.
Yes.
All of it's happening on one day. That's a classic Saved by the Bell trope.
Yeah. So she has to figure out how to get all of her signs together by tomorrow.
She does it.
She does it.
Gets it done.
She runs around town with her little brother, who she has to take care of because her mom, I think, is working.
Yep.
And the library printers are broken, so she goes and she gets them printed at the Kinko's. I don't know, and it's great. So she shows up the next day, and Mac and Lexi have plastered their posters everywhere. And they are pristine posters.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have a poster guy.
They have a poster
as
guy,
they point out.
Another great bit.
And they also, there's no room for her because she couldn't reserve wall space on the app because she doesn't have a phone.
She didn't have the app.
She didn't have the app.
Yeah.
I want to.
And all of these posters are just for a parking spot.
Yes.
Which is an important
That's the whole
part
thing.
of this.
Lexi and Zach are fighting over a parking
spot.
And you get a parking spot
at the front of the building at Bayside if you win student body president. That's
exactly right. Hey, Justin, did you ever run for president?
I was vice president because I knew where my place was.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Who was your
Shoot for the
president?
stars,
Who's
buddy.
your president?
I don't want to talk about it. She's not a good person.
Wow.
Oh man.
Let's just say that she can be a real Lexi in the pilot. I don't want to throw Lexi under the bus too hard.
No,
we don't know
hey,
that well
no,
yet.
that's fair.
Man.
That's fair, Justin. You need say no more.
Hashtag not my
Let's just
president.
say in our dynamic, I didn't have the app.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just put it that way.
Okay. Fair enough. But you were vice president nonetheless, and that's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave a little mini speech.
Yeah, you did.
It was great.
Now,
Yeah.
in high school, if the president dies, does the vice president become the president? Is it the same type of situation?
Unfortunately, I know that too well because I tried to kill her.
And you failed. That's
And then
interesting.
He did. He killed her, and then he pardoned himself. All the rules of president apply, I think, in high school. And then he became president.
for me.
That's right.
You can't suspend me. I'm president. Can't suspend me. Can do what I want. Expulsion.
How much longer we got for the Trump impression?
Can't do it.
Okay.
So she is just kind of downtrodden. There's no space for, even if she wants to create change, she's not privileged enough to create that change.
That's right.
There's other storylines like Aisha wants to try out for football.
Devontae, this new kid.
Who's Devontae? Is Devontae
Devontae's
Lisa?
Like Lisa, maybe? I don't know, but I know this.
I don't know. There's a 1-to-1 for Devontae.
Slater keeps getting on Devontae about football and trying to give him these speeches, and Devontae's playing very coy with the fact that he's not a football player.
Yeah, why would you think that I would play football?
That's right. Yeah, for sure. And that's going on too. But Lexi and Mac fighting, and Daisy coming in. I think that's the main thing. And then they find out that there's a lot of work involved in being president.
They have to go to D.C. for spring break, which ironically is the thing that made Zach want to be class president in the original reboot, in the original show.
The original show.
But in the reboot, Max, like, that gets in the way by spring break.
Yeah, which is funny. It's a great bit. Yeah.
So that's how they're realizing that, and they're like, you know what? Let's get her elected.
Yep.
So the day comes of the election, and they break into Principal Trampoline's office, and they take over the PA system, and Mac basically is like, you're going to get more work. And it is the same bits that they do in Saved by the Bell. When, Zach realizes Jesse would be a better president.
That's right.
So Zach throws in all these promises like, you're going to get double the homework. It's the same bit. But Mac is, doing this thing. And then Lexi acts as if she is Daisy.
That's right.
But doesn't do the promises that Daisy would get.
No, just promise like Lizzo performing and all this other. Minnie giving everybody a micro pig or whatever it is. Yeah,
love a micro pig.
Love a micro pig.
Who doesn't? What did your president? What did they run on? What was their kind of their promises?
Let's call her Stacy.
Some things are timeless, and Stacy promised micro pigs and Lizzo performance, which honestly, she was before her time.
She really was.
Lizzo was a child. Traveling.
I'm going to give you this child.
That's right. Traveling.
And people are like,
trust me,
I want it.
You're gonna want this child.
You're gonna want the Lizzo.
Give it time. Give it. It's like a good plant. You got to water it and nurture it, and one day you'll get juice.
Yeah, one day. What?
It's a Lizzo song.
Yeah, there it is.
Thanks everybody. I'll be So everybody's like, oh gosh, we're gonna vote for Daisy. So Daisy ends up winning the election. Aisha ends up trying out for football and crushing it.
Crushes it.
And Slater's in. Slater's like, wow, this girl's got it.
That's right.
Devontae
shows up for
right on the set of Glee.
Yes.
And crushes
it.
I want to, if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this, but the last 3 minutes is this amazing montage while Devontae is singing underneath it, and it's wrapping up the whole episode.
Before he sings, we get it's Principal Todman.
That's right.
His name.
Todman.
Principal Todman basically tells Daisy that she belongs at the table. Don't make excuses. Be a good president. And then Devontae starts singing, and we get Daisy starting to implement these changes, like taking the parking spot that she was going to get away to move the bus stop to the front of the school, and making actual, like, legitimate, objective, empirical change at Bayside High in our first episode. It happens. It really happens.
So she starts being a good president. Aisha crushing it on football. Devontae crushing it, and Mac and Lexi are just
there
looking on in disbelief. And that was the reboot.
That's the reboot.
That's the pilot.
That's right.
We did it.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm excited to dive into it more. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on Back to Bayside. Oh, welcome back, everybody, to Back to Bayside, breaking down the pilot of the reboot episode with a very special guest, Justin Kirkland. And it is time for our second segment. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. It's the time of the show where we talk about whether or not we love the episode, it excited us, or it scared us. We didn't like it. I'm going to start with our guest, Justin Kirkland. Justin, what did you think of the pilot of the reboot? What'd you think?
Wait, I'm worried. Did you guys say you didn't like it?
No.
He said every episode we tell everyone if we were excited or scared by the episode. Excited, thumbs up. Scared, thumbs down. That's what's going on here. Were you excited or scared, Justin?
I think that kind of revealed my hand, because I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, fully loved the episode. I thought it was a good cast, because like I was saying before, they could have gone with just like a carbon copy of what they had before, and I think they've come up with some really like fleshed out characters that are relevant now, and are creating a show. You know what it reminds me of a little bit? I'm going to go way off it. Did y'all ever watch the Dallas reboot?
No, I know of the Dallas reboot, but I actually shot JR. I was the guy. It was me. If you can believe.
But you did not shoot the deputy.
Didn't shoot the deputy.
You wouldn't think of it. You wouldn't think of it,
No.
Justin.
My parents apparently spent their first year of dating getting together every Friday night, ordering a pizza and watching Dallas.
Yep.
Which I think says so much about
I
me
mean,
as a
come
person.
on.
But I watched Dallas, and then they had the reboot, and my parents were a little worried about it too. And they used it to introduce all these new characters that anchored the show, and then dotted in old talent, which is the same kind of model that I think Saved by the Bell's gone for. And I thought it was really good. It moved it into 2020 and allowed old characters to kind of make fun of themselves. I want more Kelly. That's the only thing I would have changed. Give me more Kelly Kapowski, because I think she gets it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan?
So excited.
Yeah.
So excited. And to your point, just another show that's done this is Cobra Kai, which
Yes.
it has these old stalwart characters, but without the kids, like without pulling for Miguel or for William Zabka's son in the show, without those anchors to the show, it really is just kind of a dumb comedy. Here's the thing about Saved by the Bell. In rewatching the old Saved by the Bell, I had forgotten. Growing up, I took it all so seriously. Like, I was in love with Tiffany Amber Thiessen, and I totally shipped Zach and Kelly. It was so important to me. But watching it now, like, the show was a go for broke, swing for the fences show. It goes for every joke, and about half the time in the old show, it just doesn't land. There are Cold War jokes in the original Saved by the Bell that just, I'm serious. I'm talking Gorbachev, Glasnost, cute missiles, space. Like, it happens. And it doesn't always work. And there are gags that don't always work. And then there are serious messages in the old Saved by the Bell that don't always work, but they are going for it. And this show is going for it. It is swinging for the fences. Were there some jokes that didn't work for me? Absolutely. But boy, oh boy, are the new characters funny. In fact, I would say I thought that Elizabeth Berkley and Mario Lopez kind of steals the show to me. Every line he says is a riot. Like, he just kind of walks in as this guy who thinks he's got it all together still, like he's still in high school. We've all met that guy. Like, we've all met that guy who's 40, but who thinks he's still the cool kid in high school, but he's, coaching PE football and thinks it's a bigger deal than it is.
Right.
And he's awesome at it. He's really funny.
Yeah.
The tongue is in cheek, firmly planted. The jokes are fast and furious. The callbacks are fast and furious, but it still wants to have a message. It still wants to be a show that pushes forwards a positive message. And I don't know if that's always going to work. It worked for me in this episode. I was a big fan, start to finish. Even when it didn't work, I felt like it worked. So excited. All in.
Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And I got to say, like, I love that the new main character isn't Zach. It's not Mac. Mac's not the lead here. I really loved Daisy. I thought she was super fun. I loved Aisha. I loved all the kids. And it's funny because I feel this way watching the reboot. Early on, the dynamic between Zach and Slater is odd.
Yeah.
And I felt that way watching the reboot with Mac and Lexi. That dynamic in this pilot didn't quite work yet, but I think it's going to get there. I think they're still trying to figure out what to do with this Lexi character, and we're going to make her completely like Slater, or what to do there, because she's clearly the Slater. She calls him Preppy. Yeah. But I don't know. That dynamic was a little bit off.
They made her meaner than they made Slater in the original, and they made Zach more just awful overtly awful. In old Saved by the Bell, Zach's awful, but it's played for laughs. And this one, she's just overtly like a bad.
So I think they're gonna get it. I agree. I thought Mario Lopez was just dynamite.
Even him just walking into the room to like sit down backwards in that chair, I laughed. Like him just literally just strutting into the room. I was like, he is just wrenching this for everything that it's worth, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I mean the lesson was great. Like the speech from the principal was. I loved it. I loved all of it. And so it landed again. Yeah, not every joke landed. There were a couple that I was just like, Oh, that was weird. But they just luckily it's fast enough to eat when even the things that don't work, you get past it quickly and you move on to the next thing.
There are people that are working on the show, writing the show, that worked on 30 Rock and Arrested Development. And so the pace of it shouldn't be surprising. And the fact that some jokes just come off as silly or weird or goofy based upon those two shows shouldn't be surprising. But it doesn't, you don't sit on it too long.
Right.
Because the next joke's there and it hits you with something else. I mean, they called back probably 10 episodes of Saved by the Bell in this one pilot.
And quick, and they just go past it.
Yeah, and just keep rolling like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pacing was really solid, because I think when you have a pacing where you have that much information in there, whether it's the callbacks or even in the original one, I feel like anytime there was like a big lesson to learn, it was almost like they smacked you in the face with it at the end.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm not supposed to take caffeine pills. Whereas I feel like this one, it was in there, but it moved so quickly that you could either take it or not. Like, it wasn't being forced down your throat, really, but it was part of the episode. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no. We watch, this happens all the time, but last week we watched one where Zach has to have this heart-to-heart with his dad, who doesn't spend any time with him anymore. And the whole episode is a full hijinks episode. He's hiring an actor to play his dad, and he hires the same actor to play Belding, and they switch roles, and it's just fun. And then the last 2 minutes are like this, like very serious heart-to-heart with him and his dad, and it just is very just abrupt out of nowhere. And that seems to happen on a regular basis on the old Saved by the Bell. And this did have more time to breathe, it felt like, and it felt like it was more earned for sure.
Which of the new characters are you most excited to see developed throughout the show, Justin?
Lexi.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna be really cool. Something that I think is neat about this cast is the amount of representation
for sure,
just across the board. And I know this is like segment 3. I was kind of saving it for it. We'll say I'm excited about Lexi.
Yeah. She's great too. I think you're right. I think they wrote her really mean, but I think she's great. Like, I think she's going to.
Did you get the same vibe that I did, though, that they haven't quite figured out, especially the Mac and Lexi dynamic, at least in the pilot?
Yeah, like there wasn't because she's not Slater.
Right.
No.
Like that energy is not Slater, even though it's very clearly.
And she says preppy, and there's like certain thing like, yeah, I think there's a lot of room to explore with her.
The short version is the 3 white kids, I didn't feel like they were a really close-knit friend group. Like, if I have one complaint about the show, it's Jamie Spano, Mac Morris, and Lexi. Like, if they're supposed to be like these original, it didn't feel like they were really close friends to me. Like that didn't feel, but I didn't care because I loved all the new people. Like, I loved Daisy and Devontae. I loved what Slater and Spano were doing. And so I had so much that I loved, but those 3 don't feel like they're longtime friends like the original group did.
Yeah.
No.
What about you, Dan? Character?
I think Aisha's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think they're breaking a lot of norms there too, which is wonderful. But they're not doing it in a Disney sports movie way. Like, they're just like, this is who I am. I do think Jamie Spano's hot, but I'm also going to kick his butt on the football field, and I think that's great. I think she's going to be a fun character. I think they're going to use her to a lot of comic relief, which I'm excited about.
And in her defense, Jamie Spano. Hot.
Yeah, he's a good looking dude.
I think Devontae for me is that, like,
oh man,
I want to say this, as long as we get more Devontae Slater scenes, because I love those so much, and as long as we get like him singing more, which I'm sure we will because he's trying out for a musical, but him and Slater, those were my favorite scenes. I just thought they were so funny, and Slater just not getting it. Like, I just loved that. I just thought it was so funny. So I'm excited about that character. It's time for the next segment.
Time out.
Time out, the part of the show we talk about anything in this episode made us laugh, made us confused, whatever it might be that made us, while we were watching, say time out. Dan?
Yeah, so it's not going to be a standard timeout. These are things that I found either incredibly funny or just a really good idea or just good lines. Like, I thought their commitments to the stuff that people thought just was the norm about Bayside in the original show was fantastic. We question all the time how kids are going to the Max during school. Like how is that possible? It's a full sit-down restaurant with a magician as an owner, and they have to save the Max in an episode, so it's not affiliated with Bayside High. It's its own restaurant, but they go during the day. During the middle of the day, they go to school, and what they do with that here as just this common, like, you guys pay out of pocket for a sit-down restaurant every lunch, every day? Yes, of course we do. I thought it was wonderful, and I thought having Max does not look a day older. He does not look a day older. Ed Alonzo looks the same age, and he's doing the same bit. And then Max saying, "Damn, I love magic," I just thought was really, really funny. Like his love of magic was really funny.
Well, because I think we all just say that when we see magic. I'm just like, what?
And then my I think my favorite line that it goes a little under the radar is Slater and Devontae are talking, and Slater goes, "I know you think it looks like I got it all together." And he said, "I saw you earlier eating soup in your car." And Slater's snappy comeback was, "Hey, that was melted ice cream." Like that joke, like he's defending himself by saying, "No, I wasn't eating soup. I had an ice cream that had melted. I'm eating that." So yes, that's a good thing. And I just like,
I also appreciate that because Slater in rewatching it is not cool.
No,
he's not cool.
No,
he
not in the original show and not now.
And so I think, but he thinks that he's cool.
And, and the audience, when you watch, say by the audience just goes bonkers over him because he looks like a 35-year-old, 15-year-old.
Yes,
like he's got giant muscles, and the crowd goes nuts.
I imagine Slater. A logical thing for Slater would be that melted ice cream is cooler to eat in your car than soup.
That's right.
That is the logical Slater thing. Yeah. Because he's not cool. He's really bad on the radio. He dances. He's just weird at times.
Does gymnastics.
Yes.
Just a weird dude.
Yeah. So I love that as well. Do you have anything else?
That's plenty for now.
Justin?
Just to add on to that, everybody knows that high school teacher that wears the clothes that they definitely wore in high school.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And you're like, cool. Well, things are looking great.
Yeah, especially on Fridays. It was casual Friday. You're like, oh man, we got to do this again with you.
Yeah.
I had two major ones. The first one that I kind of had to stop and rewind is when somebody nodded to the fact that Lexi is trans, and they I think we're at a place where when you present characters, a big mistake that you can make right now is being like, Lexi's trans and she's seen things, and they just really lay into it, and they're like, yeah, Lexi's trans and she's awful. Yeah. And then they just move on.
Well, they, to that point, I had read the story that she's trans, but Dan had no idea.
I said, wait a minute, is she trans in the show?
It seemed more like it was more if you don't know that, it's like a weird, is that a weird jab at trans people?
At first I was like, that joke is not okay. And they're like, oh no, that's the character.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to introduce her. But we were watching. I was like, wait a minute, is she trans on the show? And
I love in 2020 that we have a show where trans people can be the absolute worst.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and that's called progress.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Hey, just because you're trans, you don't get any free passes.
Not here.
If you suck, you suck.
And everybody was the best. They would do that was my best.
Hey, no, that's good. Thanks for bringing it back.
That's a really good one.
Thank you. The other thing, and I don't. Maybe we should stop the mics for this because I felt really uncomfortable watching the show when I was younger. It's fine to find whomever hot because you're a child.
Yes.
But I was in a really complicated space. The original series was filmed when all the actors were teenagers. They were high school aged as God intended.
That's exactly right. This is like Friday Night Lights high school here.
When Jesse's son showed up, that is a grown boy.
Yes, it is.
And I was like, the Christian in me is not okay with this. So I looked it up, and the kid is like 25.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
something
not fair.
In that zone. And I kind of wish that they had gone back and just let high schoolers be high schoolers.
Yeah.
But I was taken back because I've always wondered what it would be like to like run my own hand down my arm and feel any kind of definition. And when I see people like that, I'm like, I pray every night. And like, I believe in God, but like, why not me?
Right.
So I think that's one of the things that took me out. But honestly, I should have waited until later this afternoon when I have therapy to talk about this. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Are you under the impression? Are you under the impression that he was born like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
didn't
so.
work for
Like
it.
I've watched videos.
Yeah.
And some people are born with muscle definition.
Well,
and then other people
you've
come
bench
out.
pressed once and you got nothing, and it's just not fair.
To describe my body type for those who are curious, if you put like 30 pounds of jam in a 25-pound bag, that's my physique. So sometimes I just feel attacked.
Justin, who is selling bags of jam?
What is this, Canada?
Y'all hadn't driven through East Tennessee in desperate times.
That's right.
Apparently,
Yeah. I need.
Where's
can I
a bag of?
I need a pound of boiled peanuts. Could you mint the Marlboros if you got them, and a bag of jam.
if you're, I'll tell you this: if you're going through Tennessee and you're looking to purchase one of me and one of Jesse Spano's child, you go, can I get that large bag of jam and also that box of rocks?
That's right. Yeah. There you go.
You load them in, you have us both. But
At the end of the day, though, at that point, you have everything you need.
Yes.
Right?
you're never going to want any more jam.
No, I do blame Friday Night Lights for this, because I remember watching that show, and Minka Kelly is supposed to be in high school, and I was like, there's no way. There's not a world. And then Taylor Kitsch is Tim Riggins, and you're like, wait a minute. Like these two?
You're a sophomore?
Yeah. Whereas you're right, Dustin Diamond was like 3 or 4 years younger than the rest of the cast. Like the rest of them were like 14 or 15. I think he was 12, and they filmed it. I think when Gosler finished the show, he was like 19, like his last year. So like they did it right. Yeah. What do you got, Bran?
Well, I want to know more about No Eyebrow Stacy. I will tell you that much. Now, it's a quick thing. It's a quick thing, but they mentioned somebody who is not going to be going to Bayside, going somewhere else, whose name is No Eyebrow Stacy, who does seem to get in some squabbles. Why no eyebrows, Stacy? Why no eyebrows is a question that I do want to know. I want to know, and I'm sure we're going to get there, but more about the Zach and Kelly dynamic is the thing that I'm dying to know more about.
And we're not going to get much of it.
You don't think so?
I think that he only filmed for like a couple of days.
I know, but
we're not going to get much of Zach and Kelly. We're just not.
I think there's a Diavio RCE on the horizon.
Oh boy.
I feel that there's a separation. There's a push and pull there. She didn't even agree with what she was saying in the commercial.
That's exactly right. That's why I'm interested. Like we got this one little snippet and that's it. And I need to know more. You know, I need to know more.
Also, not to cut in on this topic.
No, cut.
What video editor put together this commercial and then left in Kelly saying, we can't say that.
Right.
Like, that is a bad investment.
And Zach Morris approved the message at the end.
That's right.
Yeah. Thumbs up. Yeah. So that's it. I just want to know about No Eyebrow Stacy, and I want to know more about Zach and Kelly. That's it. And it's time for our last segment. Friends Forever. It's the part of the show we give any Saved by the Bell news we have. If you remember a couple weeks ago, we mentioned our good friend Justin interviewed Elizabeth Berkley, and you should go and read that interview.
Great interview.
And luckily, we're here with Justin right now. Justin, I just want you to take me into the room where it happened when you were talking to Elizabeth. What was it like? What did you learn? What was your big takeaway as a Saved by the Bell fan talking to Elizabeth Berkley? What was it, 30 years after the I'm So Excited bit? Yeah.
Yes. It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. And it was the worst of times because it was my fault. I had not slept at all the night before.
Because you were nervous?
No. It was one of those nights where it was like, cool, it's time to get up. And you look over, it's like 1:30 in the morning. You're like, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's a bag of jam situation for sure.
So just a bag of jam just laying there.
Yeah.
But after I did the math after the interview, I think I had 6 cups of coffee that day. So I wasn't awake, but I was like tweaking out.
Yeah.
And as soon as she got on the call, I went, "Oh, Elizabeth, I'm so excited to talk to you today."
Oh,
and then she
no.
just cuts me off and goes, "Pun intended."
Oh,
And I went,
no.
"Oh God." So she was. What's funny about her, and I hate to stereotype, but I think that she is such an embodiment of Jessie Spano because she was smart, she was fast. Honestly, I think she led most of the interview. And she's an executive producer on the show.
Yep, she is.
Or maybe either producer or executive producer. She definitely has a producing credit. So she has such a big hand in the show. And I think I was really surprised because I'll speak to people that have had iconic roles in the past and they have done what they can to live that role down or overcome it. And she very much is somebody that fully embraces it and said, like Jessie Spano helped make me who I am today. And it's something I'm really proud of, which is cool. You never want to hear that like the character that you love, they're like, oh, well, I've done things that are so much deeper than that. She very much just embraced it. And she was really, really cool to talk to.
Do you feel like, cause I've gotten this impression, especially with Mark Paul Gosselaar and Elizabeth Berkley, especially with those two, I can't speak for the rest of them, but I feel like those two initially tried to distance themselves from their Saved by the Bell characters and then have in the last decade or two have come full circle to really embrace what that was, embrace that it meant a lot to a lot of people and embrace that it's a big part of their life. Like, do you feel like she as a person has come full circle on the character to go like at one point I was embarrassed by that, but now it's something that I think really does define me? Or do you just feel like she's always been that like realistic her whole life?
I think there's a part of her that's been that realistic the entire way. Because we got into a conversation about Showgirls as well. And I feel like just because I've said the name of that movie, you guys have to put a parental warning on this episode.
You're good. It's a big part of her career.
If you are listening and you are less than 50 years old, you are not permitted to watch Showgirls.
That's right.
But she was talking about that, and she said that there's such an over-the-topness to it, and that she was, of course, really, really disappointed with how Showgirls went. But then she kind of tied it back to Saved by the Bell and said that both of these, she learned early on that both of these things that she worked on have such particular audiences. And it matters so much to that audience. So like, how can you take away from the fact that they love and care for these things that she's made so much that it's ultimately an honor? Because I mean, think of how many actors are out there that you might know their name, but you can't think of a single role they did.
Yep.
And she has 2 of them.
Yes.
So I think it's pretty cool that she just leaned into it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I love it.
I thought she was great in the reboot. I
Yeah.
thought it was like a really like perfect performance of what an older Jessica Spano would be. Like,
well, she said that so much of her character in the reboot is based on her as a human now.
Wow.
Like she has like a best-selling parenting book. And now Jessie Spano has a best-selling parenting book called I'm So Excited, I'm So Scared to Be a Parent.
That's right.
So it's cool the way that she's infused herself in it. And I guess I meant to bring this up earlier when it comes to Zach's political commercial. There was one cutaway where he wasn't blonde. Was that just a still from Franklin and Bash?
It was.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
He said he was he became a trial attorney and they made a still of Franklin and Bash, which I thought was hysterical. It was like, so perfect.
I see you.
Yeah.
So
perfect.
It's cool because I think this whole cast, and it's what Elizabeth was saying in the interview, this whole cast is kind of in on the fact that their role in the show isn't to carry the show's like story forward. They're kind of there to be a nostalgic butt of the joke. And I think it's working. She was really good, and I can't wait to see, because next episode is called Jamie Song.
Oh man.
Jamie being Jesse's
That's right,
son,
right.
and the episode where Jessie was so excited that she was so scared is called Jessie Song. So
Love that.
I'm in for
saying
that.
pills are ahead for
I
all
love
of
it.
us.
I love it. I'm so excited about this. I'm also excited to see how many people get Peacock to watch it.
Yeah,
You know?
me too.
I don't know anybody right now who's gone out of the way to get Peacock,
But we're gonna do it now.
We're going to do it now.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see the buzz behind it because I hope people watch it because it's great.
Yeah. I'd love to see
great.
multiple seasons.
Justin, we love you. Tell people about how they can find you on the webs.
Find me at first and foremost, if you haven't heard it and you love Dolly Parton at all, and you should, because she came up with the cure for COVID.
That's right.
Don't fact check me on the specifics of that. COVID's cured.
Yeah.
But you can find the podcast My Year with Dolly, where we cover every year of Dolly Parton's career, an episode at a time. And if you just didn't get annoyed with this bag of jam on this episode, find me at Justin Kirkland 4 on Twitter.
It is an essential Twitter follow.
Yeah, and I
would
will
that
say
much.
there's some nerd out there who just Googled, did Dolly cure COVID?
She gave a
Did I miss something?
She gave $1 million to the company that came up with the 95% successful vaccine.
Mine as well.
Of her own money. $1
Mine
million.
as well.
That's right. So God
Dolly
bless her.
cured COVID.
That's right.
.com.
That's right.
Dude, buy that and have it be the My Dear with Dolly feed.
DollyCuredCovid.com.
Buy that. All right, everybody. We will be back next week. More reboot, more fun. But until then, get back to class. Oh, hey.
Hello there.
Hi there.
Oh, who produces this show?
I think Bran does.
Bran does?
Who hosts
I
it?
think it's Dan and Bran.
Oh.
Where can I get more information?
Well, I think BramblejamPodcast.com, but what if I wanted that free?
Oh, BrambleJamPlus.com could get it for you ad free.
Oh, give it to me now, please.
Double dozen.
Double dozen.